preparing to live stream on YouTube.
Yeah, that says webinar is now streaming live on YouTube. That's good.
All right. We got somewhere, didn't we? Huh. Okay. So, who's this? Duncan? Denise? All right. So, okay. So I'm going to go live on Facebook. Okay.
They're trying to stop the information that's about to be revealed.
Hey, you need to turn your is that your sound coming through or mine?
No, I'm just talking normally.
No, I see it. Okay, I got it. Oh, I got it. Here we go. Okay, so we got 3 people watching in YouTube. Let me share this to copy, and let me go to Facebook. Man. All right, so I'm going to put here Dr. Joe and I are about to, are on YouTube, Facebook won't allow our episode of SOULSPEAKS 5D happening now. Please join us. from the front line of the apocalypse.
The cutting edge. Right.
Yeah. So let me post that. Let me put that into the page. And I'm sorry, we should have started an hour earlier. I didn't catch that when you were telling me last time.
Oh, it's all right, mate. I'm normally fast asleep at this time.
I know. But Morgan's taking over the scheduling, so everything will be back to normal.
There is a God.
There is a God. That's right. What?
A goddess, I should say.
A goddess, right? That's right. And there is a God, and he is a she.
Absolutely. It's a he, she, God.
Yeah. Okay, so let me go on. Okay, we got 4 people in still. Okay, now let me go on to Facebook Live. And I have an idea.
Oh, God, that's a bad sign.
All right. Okay. All right, so here we go. Yeah, I'm going to do it this way. We got to just make do with what we have here.
Yep.
Okay. So, for those of you on the replay, that come on the replay, we could not go on to Facebook. On YouTube, just go to Soldier One Studios channel. Here, bring it here. Hang on a second. All right, let's see. So you're gonna, oh, well, you got to get off of here. Oh, I guess I could share it. That would make it easier. Hang on. Hang on, I gotta find it. All right, so that's okay. Back to Facebook. Here it is. Paste. Okay. So if you go to my page now, it's on there, and you just have to click it. I forgot to put it on there. Thank you for reminding me. All hail the goddess. Let me share this to the group. Oh, we got people over here waiting. Sorry about that. So what? There are 40 people over here, and I'm sitting here doing my thing. Okay, so what's happened is, hang on one second. All right. So this is about the 3rd time in 3 days that Facebook won't allow, or we're not being allowed, I don't know how to put that, onto Facebook to do our live, our SOULSPEAKS 5D. So we're in YouTube. We're in YouTube. If you want to watch the show with Dr. Joe Delaney, I would highly recommend it because I believe we're going to be taking off where we left off last night. If
Yeah.
anybody. Amira Beth, thank you for the shirt. I did find it. You don't have to give me another one this weekend. Dr. Joe's got his shirt coming on the way. Anyway, we're on YouTube. The link is at the top of my page. It's the Solargy One Studios page and in the Solargy group. If you would like to watch the show that we're going to have right now, we're also going to have a show at 12. We're also going to have a show in an hour and 20 minutes with Jason Estes. And another show with a new friend, a beautiful beloved sister out of Thailand, a couple hours after Jason's show. But if you guys would like to watch the show on YouTube with Dr. Joe and myself, it's starting right now. There we are. There's Dr. Joe. This beautiful face.
Yeah. You need to get your eyes tested, my boy.
All right. So I'm on Facebook now with you. Yeah, I'm just on this Facebook, but I can't pull him on the screen here. So we're going to be on YouTube using the normal format. If you guys want to come watch it, you're more than welcome. The link's at the top of the Solargy page, the Solargy One Studios page, and my page. So I would encourage everybody to come over to YouTube. Let's bring some peace and balance and harmony and love into the current energies, which everybody can agree on. It's pretty chaotic right now. So we'll see you over in YouTube, or you can come back and watch the replay. Thank you. Okay, so let me pull up YouTube so I can see the comments, and then we'll get started. Thank you, Joe, for your patience, and Duncan and Denise for showing up in the Zoom room. I should have told them they can watch it in the Zoom room too. Okay, here we go. Let's see. We'll go to YouTube. All right. So you got you one of these shirts. You just have to do everything I do, man.
Yeah, because you are indeed my hero. The human is not the hero. Todd Medina is the hero.
Okay, here's Dr. Joe and Todd live. All right. 22 people in the house. Lucianne, Paul Castaneda, Andrew Rawlings from Hawaii. Is that Hawaii? Katie Indicrow, right on. Thank you for sharing, Katie. Shanine's in the house. Belinda
Oh,
Frank.
God. I have to stop. I won't swear then if Shanine's in the house. She doesn't like bad language.
Shanine does enough for everybody. I'm just kidding. Helga from Holland. Belinda Frank. Monica Ramirez from Texas. My home state girl there. All right. 26 people in the house. If these shows resonate, please share. I'll keep my eye on the live chat. If you have any questions, any comments, feel free to make them. Welcome back. Welcome back, Dr. Joe, to Soul Speaks 5D. I'm looking forward to starting the day with a little bit of humor because there's so much wisdom in that humor. I feel like I came out of a bloodbath this morning. You know, if we can't laugh about these things, we're missing the whole mission is to live a fulfilled life, you know. And I'm not going to say I don't care if anyone gets offended by me, you know, bringing a little humor to the table, but you know, there's no coincidences, and we know that the shows that we have together are always very jovial but serious, and so there's no coincidence that you're the first one to come through the door after this very interesting energetic experience and explosion last night, which I consider to be very multidimensional and interdimensional, to include all dimensions, including this realm that we try to distance ourselves from. But so I'll hand it over to you. You have any words of wisdom this morning?
I never know what I'm going to say. I mean, my head says, say this, say that. And then when I come onto the show, that's all left me then, you know, because that's some sort of part of me planning to try and regulate and control what's going on, you know. And to be quite honest with you, I know Morgan says this, I've got no idea, Todd, from one moment to the next, what's going to happen next. I really have got no idea. I know that the ego part of me, which is still alive and still active and still trying to butt in all the time, I know that that's always wanting to know what's coming up next, so it can control and regulate situations that it doesn't feel are favorable to it, really. And I've mentioned to you before, as 27 years ago, I sort of knelt down with somebody and I completely surrendered my willpower and my choice to the universe. I didn't really understand what I meant by that, but this chap who'd been through the process, he said, Joe, he said, if you want to give up drinking, he said, just follow the same steps that I did. And so I did it. I was desperate. I tried absolutely everything else. I didn't want to do it, but he said, kneel down with me. I thought, oh shit, here we go. I'm in one of those sort of Christian fundamentalist things. And I know, I don't mean to be offensive in anything I'm saying. I'm just sharing what happened to me. And I knelt down, and I'm going to say the prayer again. And I've said it before, the prayer went, God. And I said, God, I thought, oh, here we go again. I've been nabbed, But he said, Joe, just say the words and see what happens. So I said, God, I offer myself to thee to build with me and do with me as thou wilt. Relieve me of the bondage of self, that I may better do your will. Take away my difficulties, that victory over them may bear witness to those I would help of thy power, thy love, and thy way of life. May I do thy will always. And Todd, I felt a strange, in fact, it's coming now again, the sensation. I felt a sensation up my spine, and it almost like came out of the top of my head like a fountain. And it's frightened me. In fact, it's here now with me in a big way. And the next morning, Todd, I woke up in a completely different frame of mind. I woke up in a different world. It was the same world, but it looked like a different world. And I haven't had a drink from that day until now. And every morning I wake up and I say the same thing. And, Todd, I don't have a picture of what God is like, or the universe, or source, or the prime creator. I don't get involved in that. I just have a feeling that when my heart's open, I just try and listen to the information that's coming from an open heart, I just say, and I've said it to you before, before I open my eyes, I open my heart, I tap on my heart, and I just basically say, because I'm very irreligious these days, I basically say, is there anybody in there? And the universe, and the universe generally answers back with a feeling, and I get a feeling of connection, and then I just say, what's on the cards for us today? Because I think that this is a we thing. I think there's a connection between myself, my ego self, right, and the higher self. And I think working together, I think hand in hand, we overcome the unconscious part of our natures, or my nature, and I think that that's what it is. And also what I've learned, Todd, is if I'm feeling emotionally disturbed, and I've learned this through bitter experience, if I'm feeling emotionally disturbed or triggered at all by anything, that's not the divine part of me. That's my ego, whether at a conscious level or an unconscious level. And I've learned now, rather than going forward and reacting and pointing the finger to anything outside of myself, there's always three fingers coming back at me, So that's me trying to give my power away and becoming a victim immediately. And I have to remember now that these three fingers coming back to me, I, self, and me, this the ism, they're pointing back to say, no, Joe, that's a block in your psyche. Stop, take a step back, take a breath, and ask, what is it that you're trying to show me? And that's what I've learned. Any disturbance in me, it can't be the divine, because the divine's all powerful, it's all flowing, it's all loving, it's all compassion, it's unconditional love, and the block is a conditional problem. And so in order to be freed, look, I've got on to like preacher mode here, but this is what I've learned about myself, is that every time I stop and look, it's basically that I've got to take an action opposite to the actions I've taken in the past.
Yeah.
Because I see it almost like a playground scenario where I'm being shown by the universe the coping skills that I developed as a child. They no longer serve me at all. They're all based on fear. They're all based on defensiveness. right? And the things I have to go through, I've had to look back acutely and very focusedly at the first 3 chakras, or the 3.5 chakras that represent the lower ego self. See, I'm on one now. I'm already in like teacher type mode, and I'm not a teacher. I'm just trying to explain what I've learned about me, really.
No, man. I just want you to know that we've had so many mic drops here when you come on that my microphone's broken now.
Right.
But I can still do a mic drop. That was brilliant. That was brilliant. I didn't see any comments in the 1,200 comments from the show last night from Joe Delaney, but I have a feeling he watched everything. And I just want to say on a couple of things that you brought up, that you don't know what God is. What God is. I personally think God is a woman, which doesn't give any of us on this earth an advantage or disadvantage. But I do know this. Well, none of us know what that is. But one thing I know from my universe is that anything outside of me is God. Anything I'm looking at, any brother or sister, is God. And I don't care if it's Hitler, I don't care if it's Jeffrey Dahmer. There is a rhyme and a reason and a perfect order to the universe, and it doesn't make sense in this world. The only thing that thinks it can make sense of this world is the ego. I love the analogy about the ego and the higher self. This is all about alignment. It's all about bringing the polarities to a 0 point. We realize now we cannot divorce ourselves from the ego. The ego is a mysterious, beautiful, universal tool, unique maybe to this realm. I don't know, but marrying the two is the perfect union. And I love what you said too about the emotional disturbance. If you're emotionally disturbed, it's never them, it's always you. It's always me. And that's it. Like Morgan said last night, the shadow is where the magic is. The magic is in the shadow. And if we're looking at other people's shadows from our perception, we're really looking at our own. So it's a very tricky time, I think. There's forecasts from several people out there. I saw a post from Pars Kate today that was very good, talking about May. Jason Estes will be on in 1 hour and 6 minutes. He's been talking about this mental purge being the last of all the purges that ends on May 18th. Amanda Lawrence's intel matches the time frame of mid-May, that we get some permanent relief or whatever you want to call it. I said it last night on the show, no matter how far we've come and elevated, I don't think there is a more important time to have compassion and empathy and open-mindedness and self-responsibility, soul responsibility for each and everything that goes on in this universe, because it's real simple. The way you drive this vehicle, the way you create in the universe, the way we create in the universe is by our own balance or lack thereof. And we all have enough knowledge now, enough maturity, and enough available to us. Everything is available to us like it never has been before, that we, with desire, such as the prayer you talked about at the beginning, even if you weren't walking into it with alignment or understanding, you still got down there and did it and follow your friend's advice, and the rest is history. So, yeah, I appreciate your words, and I think that was a great way to start this show. Let's go to round 2.
Round 2 is the opposite of gravity is levity, and lightheartedness, in my view, is the key. Yeah. And lightheartedness, it doesn't need to be stupid, right? It's love and lightheartedness and flow go together with me, and gravity goes along with grave. And I think that the more you lose your sense of humor and therefore levity, or the levitation that goes with it, the more quickly you get closer to the grave, and I really believe that. And I've studied, as you know, a lot of ancient Egyptology and vibrational medicine, basically from Imhotep up all the way through the Essenes and the Gnostics and all that sort of thing. You know, these things have come to me like they come to lots of people. And as far as I can fathom it, right, the first thing to go when you're stressed or in fear is your sense of humor, you know. And so I work in environments that are quite miserable, to be honest with you, because they've become awfully serious and awfully egomaniacally responsible, you know. And I can't bear it anymore, you know. And when I'm walking through hospital corridors laughing and joking, people look at me as if to say, hasn't he got enough work to do? You know what I mean? And so I just carry on. And I know that being me gets on loads of people's nerves. And you know what, Todd? I couldn't give a shit about that. I'll do what you do. I couldn't give a shift about that at all anymore. Because what's left me is my care about what other people think about me. That's been the greatest gift that I've been relieved of, is what are they thinking about me? Because you know what? I used to think I knew and I didn't have a clue, you know. Yeah. And so I've stopped giving a hoot about what anybody thinks about me. What I feel and what I think about myself has become preeminent. It's the most important. Joe, how do you feel in yourself? The Irish have an expression, how are you in yourself? And when I say that is, you know, this body mind, which I think is the human ego, right? There's something that inhabits that, my consciousness and my soul, and it needs the ego to experience the highs and the lows of life, you know. And I realize that the physical body is simply the vehicle through which the soul expresses and feels things, you know. And I'm not sort of trying to negate the importance of the human body, because without that we couldn't get anywhere at all or grow. But the point about it is, the I am is the real me. You know, it's not Joe Delaney. I ask my students at the start of lessons, you know, when I meet them for the first time, what was your name before you were born? You know, and they look at me blankly, you know, and they say, well, I didn't have a name. I said, well, where did you get it from? And they say, well, it was given to me. I said, so are you your name? And they go, no. And I said, well, what was your religion? And they said, well, we didn't have a religion. And I said, well, are you your religion? No, right? What nationality were you? You can see where I'm coming from here, you know. And they say, we didn't have a nationality. I said, well, why are you spending all your time defending your name, defending your religion, defending your nationality, right, when it's not even you, you know? And some people start to understand that we spend so much time on the defensive over things that aren't real, right? And then it can, just a simple thing like that often releases people, and it helps them to understand that there's something deeper going in at the core of their being, you know. And I see that that's my job now. It's not to be a teacher or a preacher, but it's to help people through sharing what I've been through, right, and where I'm up to now. You know what, Todd? I'm not sure about me, and that's the truth of it. I'm really not sure what's going on at all. I've got no idea where I'm going, but I can only say that right at this moment, my heart's open. I feel clear-minded, right? And I feel okay in myself, you know, because I'm no bleeding saint at all, because of the stuff I went through and the stuff that I did in drinking and stuff like that. Some of it, mate, was horrendous. It was horrendous. I hurt myself. I hurt the people closest to me, and I hurt other people. I'm all right with that now, because I've cleaned my side of the street. You know, on the first show that we ever had, I mentioned the phrase, you're only as sick as your secrets, you know. And as far as I know, Todd, I don't think there's any secrets in me to come out. And you know what? If they come out, I've got a network of people. I'd even phone you up to say, Todd, this has emerged from me. I just need to share it with somebody. I don't need to be so open where I broadcast it on air and tell everybody. That would be a bit daft, really, you know. But look what I've discovered about me. And I've discovered now that more or less I'm an open and a clean book now personally. But it's almost as if when you open up your personal side and clean that up, all the shit from your ancestry starts to come up as well. And you've basically got to sort out their sins as well, you know, the sins of the fathers and the fathers' fathers. So it's almost like, you know, you clean your own side of the street, and then you've got to go back through your family lineage then and clean their stuff up. And when you've done that, you get to the tribe, then you get to the nation, then you keep going back, you know. And I think I've mentioned this to you before. I think freedom comes when you get back to your original face, which is basically the face of the divine. And I think that the whole of the human race now is being forced to turn round, to have a look inside, right, and to clean up their own act. I am definitely in preacher mode this evening.
I got no problem with that. I got no problem with that. I think that you're doing beautiful. I like what you said about look at what I discovered about me. So, because either that's going to be happening for us, or it's going to be, look what I discovered about him. Look what I discovered about her. Yeah. And I'm sorry, that's a distraction. That's a distraction. That's been the main program has been distraction. The main program has been, in all the programs that comprise it, you know, fear-based, whatever it is, religion, whatever, you know, has been a distraction to keep us from finding ourselves. And that's how this game was designed, this by the lesser gods, if you will. And when we start to put attention on ourselves, we start to find out who we're not, you know, who we're not. And that's, like you said, that's a very heady thing. You know, you don't know where you're at right now. I can relate to this, the frequency of the words and the explanation. My heart is open. My mind is open. I'm in surrender. I'm in an embrace with the universe. I don't know shift, and I don't know shit either. I don't know either one. I don't know either one of them. They're both strangers to me. I have no idea what's happening. But I do know that from my own perspective, the more time I spend, and I don't know how people can talk about I'm an observer, you know. Yeah. Well, there's a fine line there. Am I observing? Am I judging? Yeah. You know. And again, back to what you said at the top of the show. I don't know what goddess is. I don't know what source is, but I do know one thing. It's everything I'm looking at. Everything I'm looking at. And obviously, as within, without, you know, below, above. But I think it's a very important time for us to be very conscious of our thoughts and our words and our actions. It's critical. It's like we're like in overtime, you know, like we're in the extended period that we were allowed one last time to clean up our side of the street, as you say. And that's not, I don't think that's preaching at all. I think that is a common denominator, a universal law. You cannot miss a step. You cannot take a shortcut. You cannot establish an absolute and throw it down on the universe, because it's going to come right back and slap you in the face or kick you in the ass or both. I just, in conclusion, round two for me. And by the way, I love Linda Winger. She said, don't give a hoot and have a hoot. But in concluding the thoughts on this, coming out of last night, I think it was a very necessary experience. I think the universe orchestrated it divinely. I appreciate everybody's input. I think there were some excellent comments. I would tell you this, people would say, I hope this individual goes back and reads the comments. I would say to everybody, I hope you would go back and remove yourself from self and be an observer and read your comments and read the tone of your comments and the ferocity of your comments. And tell me, ask yourself, are you contributing to separation? Are you contributing to unity consciousness? Because this isn't preaching. This is exactly why we came here. We came here to unify, not just this earth, not just our ego and higher self, or ego and soul. It's all a copy of each other. You know, as Morgan always says, a copy is a copy is a copy. We came here to unify the solar system, the planet, the galaxy, the universe, the dimensions, the lives we've had, parallel past, future, all of it. We are doing the yeoman's work. The human is the hero. The human is the warrior. The human is the mystic and the healer and the alchemist. And we came here more than anything to make this happen, the spirit of co-creation, to in some kind of cosmic math, to take the one to a higher math pattern of some kind. You know, maybe it's the Trinity, the 369, maybe it's the 464, 128, you know, the power of four. What, I don't know what it is, but I know one thing. It takes collaboration, co-creation, mutual support, compassion, understanding, open-mindedness, and obviously, if you don't know what to do, open your freaking heart and surrender.
Yeah, I agree. And I think here's the responsibility bit, that when you open your heart, it's almost like a vacuum cleaner gets stuck to your heart and it starts to draw all the shit up, right, that's been suppressed and repressed. And there's not just sexual energy that gets repressed. There's also other things as well. You know, I mean, I sort of have understood now about the bottom three chakras, and they're associated with human development. The first chakra that comes online during human development is the root chakra. And that's associated with the adrenal glands, right? It's where personal survival comes in. So the first instinct to come online is the instinct to protect your physical self. That's the first thing that comes online, right? And if you're brought up in a balanced way, it means that you can stand on your own 2 feet, you can dig your feet in if you need to, and you can face up to things. But it also means that you can back off as well if you're in a balanced state. So you can go forward or you can back off, and that would be, right, a balanced position. You would be in a sort of homeostatic state there, right? And once you transcend that and move into the next stage, then you'll feel emotionally secure. I don't think that there are many people, Todd, on this planet who have balance in the first chakra, right? You know, and I think things like Tai Chi and Qigong and grounding exercises and yoga, they're starting to teach people now how to reconnect with Mother Earth and not only feel firm, but also receive information from much, much deeper. So that's my understanding about the root chakra. Now, the next one, the next one's very interesting because it's called the sacred sacral chakra. And it's to do with sex and intimacy. It's not just sex. It's to do with sex and intimacy as well. And I think that there are many, many people. And I was so blocked in this one, so blocked completely, because on one occasion, I would be sort of flowing with it and really sort of being driven by it. And on another occasion, I'd be totally afraid of it, you know, and I never knew, right, which was going to come out at all. And I've had to go back and I've had to share with people who are a bit further along the line and just share my experiences truly about how I've behaved in the past. This is, again, about cleaning up my side of the street, you know, and it's taken years and years and years and years. And people say, yeah, it's just because you're an old bastard now that you've got, you know, you've grown up. Todd, had I not done this, right, I would have still been plagued by all these things. But it took a lot of courage, you see, because I was brought up in a very strict Irish Roman Catholic background. And this is not just about sex and force and control. You know, there was a feminine and a masculine aspect to this as well. And I've come to terms, people ask me, you know, I describe myself as gay from the waist up. You know, my bottom half works physically as a man and my top half is very feminine inclined. I think I've reached some sort of balance now with this, but it's taken a lot of work. And I used to see things on the television regarding nakedness, and I'd see people running around naked, and I'd feel embarrassed about it. And that's because I would say to people, turn that television off now. It's disgusting and all this business, you know. And that was not about what was going on the television. That was all to do with how my unconscious child, or conscious unconscious child, was processing the information based upon the way that it was brought up. Are you with me on this? And I know that you're with me on this.
Yeah.
What I'm saying, Todd, I used to point the finger outwards, and on one occasion I'd be saying that's absolutely disgusting, and then on another occasion I'd be looking out the side of my eye just to catch a glimpse of a naked person. You know what I mean? So you know, I know this, that I can see it going on. I can just look at people's eyes. I watch them on trains and buses and planes.
Yeah.
And how do I know? Because Todd, I've been there myself, right? And I think I'm pretty, and you know, I could be wrong here, mate. I could have deep, dark secrets still lurking about in my psyche. But you know what, mate? I'm happy to open my whole soul up and say, if you can find any, do us a favor, pick it out for us, would you? You know, because all I want to do is become more and more de-obstructed, so the flow of this beautiful energy can come through more powerfully. You know. So that's the sake one. And I teach a lot of people, or I guide people, or whatever the word is, through Kundalini awakening now. But there is a responsibility that goes with it. And it's this one, Todd. If you're feeling disturbed, right, no matter what the cause, it's your ego, right? End of story.
Period. Big period.
Absolutely. And as soon as you see it and accept it fully, it balances out. You know, and you do get tests along the way, of course you do, you know, but once you're onto it then, and how do you get shut of it? How can you emotionally disengage from it? Todd, you just open your heart and you breathe it away. And that's what this mindful breathing with personal responsibility is all about. Feel the feeling, gauge whether it's healthy or harmful, not good or bad. I use healthy or harmful. And when you're sitting back and asking yourself, is this healthy or harmful? Guess what? You know. And then you've got to decide, am I going to keep it, right? Or am I going to breathe it away? And that's how you move forward. And then the next one you move on to then is the social instinct, which is associated with the third chakra. So basically, that's what a human being is, right? It's something that's got to work through those three lower chakras to come into lower heart then. And then self-esteem starts to grow once you've been able to go back and clean your side of the street up. And then, you know, Vesica Pisces and opening, then what actually happens is the crucifixion happens at stage 3.5. And when you move from 3.5 to 3.6, you're on your way then to expansion, you know, and self-actualization and enlightenment and freedom, you know. So that's where I'm up to with understanding this. And it's at the point of 3.5 when the masculine and the feminine, they work together. There's a 0 point achieved in the middle of the heart, in the heart of hearts. It opens up then, and the sacred child is born, you know. I love what Amira Beth said the other day is about the 13th chakra, because I've been feeling that for a long, long time, that the solar plexus and the lower heart are now merging with one another to make a channel. It's almost like a womb's being prepared where this sacred child is being born. And I think that's happening to so many people now. If they can just let go, surrender, not try and work anything out analytically, and just trust the process, because the child, the more relaxed, the easier the birth.
Yeah. Yeah, and I must be at 3.5 because my stomach's getting bigger.
Right. Yeah, I've had the same thing as well. I've been eating all sorts of crap because normally I try and eat properly, you know, and do the right thing. But just recently, anything that's not moving, I've been eating, you know. I've put about 3 inches on around my waist, right? And, you know, and I'm not bothered about it, mate, because it comes and goes like everything else. And people say to me, do you still eat meat? And I say, I eat what my soul wants on a daily basis, you know.
Yeah. I love what you said about the TV, seeing the nakedness on TV. I mean, if you use, well, even if, okay, so like even going back to something like what occurred last night, you're watching something. Then going back to your statement with, so whether that's a person, a show, or a commercial, a movie, a scene in the park, you know, whatever the case is, if it makes you uncomfortable, it's the ego. I love that. That's a great meme. I love that.
Yeah. But it's the frightened child ego. This is what I didn't understand. I'll tell you something else that's just come to my mind. when I used to go away on business trips, I'd be trying to get to sleep, and there'd be a couple in the room next door making all sorts of noises, right? If you catch my drift, right? And there'd be all sorts of howling going on, like two wolves getting together, you know. And I'd be horrified by it. I'd be squirming. No, honest to God, I'd be squirming and horrified and stuff like that, you know.
Wow.
Because, and it used to grip me in the gut so tightly, right? And this is what I was like all the time. This is why I drank, because temporarily it anesthetized these feelings. And sometimes it would anesthetize them so much that I'd start acting out in a similar sort of a way. It was really, really weird, you know. And I thought I'd been possessed by demons. And, you know, we talk about incubus and succubus and all that. I thought that I'd been possessed by these sex demons and stuff like that, you know. It was bloody horrendous, mate, you know, because I was brought up in a family that the mention of the word sex, it was a sin. Even if you started to think about it and form the first S, you were going to hell, you know.
Yeah.
But that noise thing, I mean, that is, you know, when they all start, and even if they weren't doing what we were talking about, you know, even a noise that sounded similar, right, I'd be like, oh my God, what are they doing, you know?
Mm-hmm. Let me look away, but here, right?
Yeah, exactly. So there'd be all these things going on, noises would be coming in, sights would be coming in, and my insides would be churning up, and other things would be happening, and I'd think, oh my God, what's the matter with me? I've been possessed by evil spirits, you know.
Nikki, I don't know if you saw the show the day before yesterday.
Yeah, I saw Nikki as well. Yeah, I do listen to him a lot as well.
I think for some reason, I mean, my feeling is that show was the preparation for what occurred last night. I loved what Nikki had to say about the path of the masculine is a totally different path. Part of this unification is an expanded awareness of what his path has been, you know, what it's been like. We have for 2, 3, 4 years, and really longer than that, but I mean, open in these types of forums, been talking about what the feminine went through. You know, Nikki talks about, you know, he spent years, you know, repenting or gaining forgiveness for the way he treated the feminine early in his life. But he also explained a lot of the things that were the aspects that affected the journey of the male. So here we are today, and there seems to be a higher ground, and I say a higher ground in terms of an expanded awareness. I'm not saying everything's all rosy, but we know in some mysterious cosmic way it's occurring inside of us, like you described, with the lower chakras meeting the higher chakras, the Vesica Pisces, and birthing a third energy, or the golden child. But nevertheless, there's a lot of intensity, extreme stuff happening. And how do we stay rooted in harmony and joy and unification and love in this environment?
Well, my view is that we share deeply with people who understand, right? We share from the soul about our true personal lived experiences. You know, I know, Nikki, this is not a support group as such, because if you support somebody and you're actually doing for them what they need to do for themselves, that's not support in any way, shape or form. That's disempowerment. But once you start to share, you know, I mean, I've shared that I've been frightened as a man, and then other people have said, oh, I've been a bit like that. I've shared that I've been terrified of the dark, even as a 40-year-old man. And then other people say, I'm a bit like that. So to share your honest, personal lived experience, that's the first thing, because it brings with it identification. So you no longer feel that you're alone, you know, and people share their deepest, darkest secrets once they've developed a trusting relationship. There's a phrase that goes, who you see here, what you hear here, like, let it stay here, you know. So there needs to be a group where it's not being recorded then and shared on Facebook and stuff like that, you know. So you have to sink deep into somebody that you can trust with your life. And I've got a couple of people in my life that I could share anything at all with, and it would stay there forever. In fact, if it's done properly, once the session's over, it's taken from their head and they can't remember it anyway. You know, just excuse me 1 sec while I switch this on.
There you go.
I just needed to switch the battery. So I found a group of people. Right,
Wait. We can't hear you. We can't hear you now. We can't hear you now.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Not really. No. Whatever you had on was working. Oh, there we go. Right now. No, it's not working. Whatever you disconnected, whatever that noise was.
Can you hear me now?
No, I mean, it's very faint. Like, did you? I don't know if you unplugged something or what happened there. Let's see. Deanna Destiny says the moon is in Pisces today, bringing spirit into balance with our soul. It's supported today moving forward. Very good comment.
Can you hear me now? No.
Yeah. Very faint. So, yeah. That's okay. That's okay. No, it's like, I don't know what happened. Whatever you disconnected something, whatever you button you pushed, I don't know. Well, yeah, everything happens for a reason. No. All right. Well, this was good for a couple of reasons. Let's see if Dr. Joe can get it back. We've got 90, 91, 95 people in the house on short notice here in YouTube. So that's a good sign. We're going to have a show in 37 minutes with Jason Estes. I don't know if Facebook's going to allow us to broadcast. So we may be coming back here onto YouTube. If so, I'll put a post up and maybe do a quick live and get people over there like we did this time. Yeah, you're right. Can't hear you. We'll get back together soon. Oh, wait, something you just wish I heard louder. Sorry. It's okay. Dr. Joe, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Okay. Can you hear me? Can't hear you. So I just think that what you had to say today was very important. I really appreciate what you brought to the table today. We need stability. We need balance. We need calmness. We need peace. We need love. We need compassion, and we need the type of wisdom you dropped today. So I really appreciate you coming on this morning and sharing with us. And somebody told you that you need to turn your light back on. Anyway, so we're gonna go ahead and shut it down.
Okay.
5:55 New York time. It was a beautiful show. It was the best show I've ever collaborated with you on from my perspective. Thank you so much for what you brought to the table. We're gonna get together soon. I think at the end of the month or sometime soon. I saw it on the calendar. So we'll see you. And best to you and your wife. And see you guys in 35 minutes with Jason Estes, either on Facebook Live if they let us go, or back here on YouTube. Thank you, everybody. See you later, Joe.